Well, joining me now to discuss some of the sporting issues of the day is football coach Fitz Lewinson. Fitz, thanks for coming on today. Let's start with Sepp Blatter then. How can he justify potentially going for another term as president?
Well, is he? Is he going or is he staying?
Well, flirting, I guess. But do you think that he could say to the people behind the election committee at FIFA that he's due another term if he wants to run again?
I don't think he should be able to, Gavin. I believe that he's said his piece and he should stick to his piece. I think he's really trying to get back in, and for me, that's not a good sign. Not a good sign at all. And
FIFA, I guess, have got an argument to sort of, I guess you could say, repair their reputation after what's happened over the last few weeks with the alleged corruption and alleged money laundering going on. Man at the top needs to change, potentially?
I believe so. I believe so. And a clean sweep. Let's start from scratch, and hopefully we'll have a very good FIFA.
Absolutely. He's still sort of being reportedly investigated by the FBI. I suppose if there's that hanging over him, he can't really run again, can he? I mean, they wouldn't want any more controversy surrounding the organisation.
You wouldn't expect so, Gavin. Listen, while that's running, I think he has to do the best thing and maybe just go out quietly, and that'd be the best way for him to go out, in my opinion.
Sure. Let's move on to Brazil now in the Copa America. They crashed out to Paraguay, losing in their 10-game unbeaten run, or 10-game winning streak even. So, I mean, this is sort of Brazil coming, I guess you could say, off the rails at the point when they needed to re-establish some of their form again after what happened in the World Cup last year.
I agree. No one expected them to lose against Paraguay. For me, both teams were kind of nulling themselves out. They were, you've got the flair, and for me, Brazil held back after they scored their goal, and they've allowed Paraguay now to take control and get back into the game.
Yeah, Dunga, the manager, was saying that he thinks a virus has affected some of the players. Are they just essentially a one-man team then? Without Neymar, they can't really win?
Well, I wouldn't like to say that, but I think that had a big impact on the result. Not Neymar not being there, that's their icon, really.
Sure.
But the poisoning, I'm not sure about that.
Well, rejoining me again is the football coach, Fitz Lewinson. So, Fitz, what's your tip then for Wimbledon?
Andy Murray.
Yeah.
Simple as.
Home favourite, I get you, I hear you. Right, let's talk about how you got involved within your sport, because essentially tennis this time of year, everyone is really into the tennis spirit now. But it's, I guess you could say, harnessing the potential in the future of the youngsters, which is the next sort of phase for the tennis administrators. So in your role as a sort of mentor and football coach, how do you do that? What's the sort of process for it?
Well, maybe making more opportunities for younger players to access the sport, and bringing the price down in terms of them paying and playing. So I think that way we can maybe achieve our goal of creating and coming out with the next, hopefully, Andy Murray, so to speak.
Yeah. How did you get involved in it yourself? What inspired you to sort of take on this sort of role?
Well, I didn't have the discipline to be a professional footballer, so the next best thing was, what can I give back to the game? So I felt, mentoring young players and giving them advice was the next stepping stone for me.
Sure. What's the sort of what advice would you give people then who are coming through your sort of, I guess, your ranks? Well,
enjoy it is the main thing. Is have fun, no pressure, don't play under pressure, enjoy it, and don't set yourselves too many targets and high goals, because sometimes difficult to achieve.
Sure. When it comes to sort of people who want to sort of make it professionally, and there's not necessarily enough grassroots funding for them or opportunities, what's the sort of best way to get the best out of them, would you say?
Well, they need to, they need to be playing on a regular basis. And for me, try different sports. So some young players will target, let's say, football or tennis, and they actually have ability to play other sports. So don't pigeonhole yourself into one sport. Maybe try a few, and then you might find the one that really suits you.
Who do you think that young British footballers look up to nowadays? Is it the English footballers or British footballers, or are they foreign stars now?
I'd go with the foreign stars. When the boys are on the coach going to games, they're on YouTube looking at Messi's skills, Ronaldo's skills. Rarely do you really see them looking at the English players, unfortunately.
Why do you think that is then?
Because I think that's what they like. They like the flair, the individual brilliance, the wow factor, so to speak, and they really find it in more the South American players and the players that play abroad.
I see. If someone is coming to you and wants to know how to get involved in a certain sport, but they don't necessarily know where the best places are or where the best channels are to find out, what do you think that is the best sort of advice you can give them?
Well, depending on what area, there will be a sporting body that they could get in contact with, and they would be able to tell them where and how to get into the sport that they desire.
Sure. Have you played yourself? How do you sort of translate your knowledge of the game into what you're doing now?
Well, as I said, I didn't have the most discipline, so it's easy for me to see where young people are going wrong and me being able to put them in the right direction, not doing the things that I more than likely did myself. So yeah, I find it quite easy.
Sure. And with the Women's World Cup, again, looking back at that, you know, that's an inspirational tournament and showcase, isn't it, for women who want to get into the game. So I guess you could say platforms like that and opportunities like, you know, the World Cup are a great advert for females and for minorities to maybe try a sport that they haven't tried before.
Most definitely. I mean, the better our countries, our teams are doing, I think more involvement from our younger players, male and female, will happen.
Sure, okay. And in terms of sort of, I guess you could say, global icons in the tennis world, you know, Andy Murray is one of them, Federer's another one as well, isn't he? But when you look at all sorts of other sports, do you think that sportsmen and women have a lot to live up to in terms of their reputation to stand out as people who, you know, youngsters who might want to follow in their footsteps? Well,
they do. They've got a major part to play, whatever sport they're playing. Young players and young people always look up to them, and that's their inspiration, so to speak.
Fitz, thank you very much indeed. Much appreciated.
Pleasure.